Commander Krikstal stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the blue planet grow larger on the screen. His 3 ships had traveled for many days to reach this quiet corner of the galaxy. The sensors showed a world with the right mix of gases for life. Better yet, the signals coming from the planet were weak and simple. Perfect, he thought. Another young species to guide. The Zephyrian fleet had done this many times before. They would arrive at a new world, make contact with the local species, and slowly bring them into the galactic family. It was always the same pattern. The young species would be amazed by their technology. They would be grateful for guidance. They would accept protection. But something felt different this time. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair aboard the USS Defiant. The ship moved smoothly through space near Jupiter. It was a routine patrol, or so he thought. Then the sensors began to beep. Captain called Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez from her station. 3 unknown ships approaching from the outer system. Jake leaned forward. Size and configuration. Large, sir. Maybe twice our size. Design is completely unknown. This was it. The moment humans had wondered about for years. Were they alone in the universe? The answer was flying toward them right now. Signal Earth Command, Jake ordered. Tell them we have visitors. On Earth, Admiral Paul Bennett received the message in his office. He had been waiting for this day his entire career. The protocols were already in place. Dr. Lisa Grant and her team had spent years preparing for first contact. Patch me through to the Defiant, Paul said. Jake's face appeared on the screen. Admiral, the ships are maintaining distance. No hostile moves yet. Good. Follow the protocols exactly. Dr. Grant is on her way to Luna Base. Keep them talking until she arrives. The Zephyrian ship slowed as they approached the human vessel. Krikstal studied the strange ship on his screen. It was smaller than his ships, but something about its design made him uneasy. The hull was smooth and dark. Weapons ports were hidden but visible to his trained eye. Send the greeting signal, he ordered. The message was simple. Mathematical sequences that any spacefaring species would understand. Prime numbers, then basic equations. It was the universal language of intelligence. Amy Rodriguez watched the patterns appear on her screen. Captain, it's mathematics, basic sequences. Respond with the same pattern, then add the next logical sequence, Jake said. The response came quickly. Both sides continued the mathematical conversation, each adding more complex problems. Krikstal was impressed. The humans were learning fast. Open a channel, he commanded. The first words between humans and aliens were simple. Greetings. We are the Zephyrian people. We come in peace. Jake took a deep breath. History was being made. Welcome to our system. We are humans from Earth. We also come in peace. The conversation continued for hours. Both sides were careful and polite. The Zephyrians asked basic questions about human technology and society. The humans asked about the galaxy and other species. But Krikstal noticed things that worried him. The human ship's power readings were higher than expected. Their communication system was more advanced than it should be. When he asked about their technology, the humans gave vague answers. Dr. Lisa Grant arrived at Luna Base and took over the conversation. She was calm and professional, but she also noticed the aliens' strange reactions. They seemed surprised by human capabilities. We would like to invite you to visit our world, she said. We can learn much from each other. Krikstal agreed, but he was troubled. This was not going as planned. These humans were supposed to be primitive. They should be amazed by his ships and technology. Instead, they acted like equals. He sent a coded message to the Galactic Council. Species more advanced than expected. Recommend caution. The response came quickly. Continue as planned. All young species seem advanced at first, but Krikstal knew better. He had made contact with dozens of species. This felt different. Ambassador Helen Carter welcomed the alien delegation to Earth. She was dressed in her finest uniform, and she smiled warmly. But she also noticed how the aliens studied everything around them. They were not here just to say hello. We are honored by your visit, she said. Humanity has always wondered if we were alone. Krikstal bowed slightly. We are here to welcome you to the galactic community. There is much we can teach you. The word teach made Helen pause. It sounded less like an offer and more like a statement of superiority. The first day of meetings went well on the surface. The aliens shared basic information about the galaxy. They spoke of peace and cooperation. They offered to help humanity develop better technology. But Colonel Steve Parker, watching from the security center, noticed how he aliens reacted to human technology. They were not impressed. They were concerned. Amy, he called to Lieutenant Rodriguez, who was still serving as translator. What exactly are they saying about our technology? Amy frowned as she listened to the alien conversations. They keep using words that translate to unexpected and concerning. They seem worried about our defensive capabilities. That night, as the aliens rested in their quarters, Krikstal sent another message to the council. Humans possess technology that rivals our own. Military posture is more advanced than any species we have encountered. Request immediate guidance. The response was swift and cold. Impossible. Continue integration protocols. Report any resistance. But Krikstal knew what he was seeing. These humans were not the primitive species they had expected to find. They were something else entirely. As he looked out at the stars from his window, Krikstal felt a chill. For the first time in his long career, he wondered if the Zephyrians had made a terrible mistake. Tomorrow would bring more meetings, more conversations, and more revelations. But tonight, both sides went asleep knowing that nothing would ever be the same. The galaxy was about to change forever. The Luna Base conference room was filled with tension. Dr. Kevin Walsh sat across from the Zephyrian delegation, trying to understand what they were really saying. The aliens spoke of the galaxy as if it belonged to them. The Eternal Confederation has maintained peace for over 10,000 years, Krikstal explained. We guide younger species into the galactic family. It is our duty to protect and teach. Dr. Walsh nodded politely, but something bothered him. The way Krikstal said guide and protect sounded more like control and dominate. How many species are part of this confederation? Walsh asked. Over 3,000, Krikstal replied with pride. All living in harmony under our guidance. The number shocked Walsh. 3,000 species, all following the same rules, all under alien control. It sounded less like a family and more like an empire. On Earth, Colonel Steve Parker was having his own concerns. His intelligence team had been analyzing the alien technology. The results were disturbing, sir, said Lieutenant Julie Hayes. Their weapons are actually less advanced than ours. Their ships are bigger, but they use older technology. Steve frowned. That doesn't make sense. If they're so advanced, why are their weapons weaker? Maybe they don't need better weapons, Julie suggested. Maybe they've never faced real opposition. The thought made Steve's blood run cold. A galactic empire, it had never been challenged. Thousands of species that had never fought back. It painted a very different picture of the peaceful confederation. Back on Luna Base, Council Speaker Threndak arrived with a much larger alien fleet. Unlike Krikstal's small group, this was clearly a show of force. 12 massive ships took position around the moon. Ambassador Helen Carter greeted the new arrivals with forced politeness. We welcome you to our system, Council Speaker. Threndak was larger than the other aliens, with more elaborate clothing and several armed guards. We come to formalize humanity's place in the galactic order. Your integration period is complete. The word integration made Helen's skin crawl. They were talking about humanity like it was being absorbed, not welcomed. We appreciate your offer, she said carefully, but humanity values its independence. We're interested in friendship, not integration. Threndak's expression changed. His large eyes narrowed and his guard stepped closer. Independence is not an option for young species. The galaxy is too dangerous. You need our protection. It was the first direct threat, and everyone in the room felt it. Dr. Chris Johnson was giving the aliens a tour of the medical facilities when everything changed. He was proud to show off humanity's latest achievements in medicine and technology. This is our nanomedicine lab, he explained. We can repair cellular damage at the molecular level. The aliens stopped walking. They stared at the equipment with expressions that looked like fear. Nanomedicine, one of them whispered. That technology was lost centuries ago. Chris was confused. Lost. We just developed it 5 years ago. The aliens exchanged worried looks. They spoke in their own language, but their tone was clearly alarmed. Engineer Maria Lopez was having a similar experience in the power plant. She was explaining humanity's fusion reactors when the aliens suddenly became very quiet. The efficiency rating is 93%, she said proudly. We hope to reach 95% next year. The lead alien scientist made a choking sound. 93%. That's impossible. Our best reactors only reach 70%, Maria shrugged. We had some breakthroughs in magnetic containment. It wasn't that hard once we figured out the math. The alien looked like he was going to be sick. That evening, General Frank Williams hosted a dinner for the alien delegation. He was trying to be friendly and welcoming, but the conversation kept taking strange turns. Earth is beautiful, Threndek said, but it seems crowded. How many humans live here? About 8 billion, Frank replied. The alien delegation fell silent. They stared at him in shock. 8 billion, Threndek repeated. On one world. Yes, though we've been expanding. We have colonies on 12 star systems now. The silence stretched longer. Finally, Quickstill spoke in a shaky voice. 12 star systems. When did you achieve interstellar travel? About 30 years ago, Frank said. We've been busy. The aliens looked terrified. Later, Frank would learn why. Most Confederation species had populations of a few million. It took them centuries to colonize even one other world. Humanity had spread across 12 star systems in just 30 years. Captain Nancy Bell was discussing the Mars terraforming project when she noticed the aliens were no longer listening. They were staring at their communication devices with growing panic. Is something wrong? She asked. Threndek looked up with wide eyes. You're terraforming Mars, changing an entire planet's atmosphere. Well, yes, Nancy said. It's a long process, but we're making good progress. The atmosphere is already 20% thicker than it was 50 years ago. The aliens began talking rapidly in their own language. Nancy didn't understand the words, but she could tell they were arguing about something important. Dr. Ryan Foster was the one who made the discovery that changed everything. He was an archaeologist who studied ancient human settlements. While preparing for the alien visit, he had been reviewing his research. Look at this, he told his assistant, showing her a star map. We found evidence of ancient human settlements on 17 worlds. All of them are in Confederation space. That's impossible, his assistant said. The aliens told us those worlds were uninhabited when they found them. That's what I thought too, Ryan said, but the evidence is clear. Humans were living on these worlds thousands of years ago. The implications were staggering. If humans had been in space for thousands of years, what happened to them? Where did they go? And why didn't modern humans know about it? Ryan immediately sent his findings to Earth Command. Within hours, Admiral Paul Bennett was on the phone with every major world leader. The situation has changed, he told them. The aliens haven't been telling us the truth. We need to reconsider everything. Back on Luna Base, the alien delegation was in crisis. Threndek was sending urgent messages to the Confederation capital. The humans were not what they seemed. They have technology we lost centuries ago, he reported. Their population is larger than most Confederation worlds combined. They've colonized 12 systems without our knowledge, and now we're finding evidence of ancient human settlements throughout the galaxy. The response from the Confederation was swift and terrifying. Implement containment protocols immediately. This species must be controlled before they become a threat to galactic stability. But it was too late for containment. Humanity was already too advanced, too spread out, and too independent to be easily controlled. As the night ended, both sides knew the truth. The aliens had come expecting to find a primitive species they could dominate. Instead, they had found something that might be more powerful than they were. The friendly first contact was over. Now the real game was about to begin. High Counselor Vex Tara stood in the Great Chamber on Nexus Prime, the capital world of the Eternal Confederation. The massive room was filled with representatives from hundreds of species, all talking at once. The topic was the same everywhere. The humans' order. Vex Tara called out, her voice echoing through the chamber. We will discuss this threat systematically. The word threat made many council members uncomfortable. The Confederation had not faced a real threat in over 1,000 years. They had grown comfortable with their power, used to being the strongest force in the galaxy. The reports from the human system are disturbing, Vex Tara continued. This species possesses technology that rivals our own. Their military capacity is unknown, but appears significant most considering they show no interest in joining our Confederation. In the back of the chamber, Younger council members whispered among themselves. They had grown up believing the Confederation was invincible. The idea that a single species could challenge them was terrifying. On Earth, director Sam Mitchell was having similar concerns, but from the opposite perspective. His global intelligence agency had been studying the alien visitors, and what they found was not encouraging. The Confederation isn't what they claim to be, he told President Laura Davis during a classified briefing. They're not peacekeepers. They're conquerors. Ho used pretty words. President Davis leaned forward. Explain. Every species they've guided has been technologically suppressed, Sam continued. Their populations are controlled. Their military forces are disbanded. They're not members of a confederation. They're subjects of an empire. The president's face went pale. And they want to do the same to us. They expected to, Sam said. But we're not cooperating with their plans. Agent Julie Hayes had been monitoring alien communications from a hidden facility in Colorado. Her team had broken the alien encryption codes weeks ago, but they had kept it secret. Now she was glad they had. The aliens are panicking, she reported to her supervisor. They're using terms like apex predator species and galactic destabilizer when they talk about us. Her supervisor, Agent Tony Martinez, frowned. What does that mean? It means they're scared, Julie said. Really scared. They're talking about humanity like we're some kind of monster that just woke up. The fear was not without reason. The aliens had designed their entire system around being the most advanced species in the galaxy. They had better technology, larger fleets, and more experience. But humans were challenging all of those advantages. Back on Luna Base, the situation was getting worse. The aliens had requested a cultural exchange where they would demonstrate their advanced weapons. Ambassador Helen Carter had agreed, thinking it would be educational. Commander Tony Baker was in charge of the demonstration. He watched as the aliens set up their most powerful weapon, a plasma cannon that could destroy a small moon. This is the pinnacle of Confederation military technology, Thrindak announced proudly. It represents thousands of years of development. The weapon fired at a test target, vaporizing it completely. The alien delegation smiled with satisfaction. Impressive. Tony said politely. Would you like to see one of our defensive systems? The aliens agreed, expecting to see primitive human technology. Instead, Tony activated a shield generator that made the plasma blast look like a flashlight. The alien weapon fired again, this time at the human shield. The plasma hit the barrier and simply disappeared, absorbed harmlessly by the human technology. The alien delegation stared in shock. Their most powerful weapon had been neutralized effortlessly. How is that possible? Thrindak whispered. Tony shrugged. Basic energy manipulation. We developed it about 10 years ago. The aliens realized they had made a terrible mistake. The demonstration was supposed to show human inferiority. Instead, it had revealed human superiority. Intelligence. Officer Bate Turner was monitoring alien communications when she intercepted something that made her blood run cold. The Confederation leadership was discussing military options. Fleet mobilization authorized. The message read. Prepare for pacification protocols. Species designation priority threat. Bate immediately called her supervisor. Sir, the aliens are preparing for war. They're mobilizing their fleets under the pretense of a routine patrol. On Earth, Admiral Kate Sullivan received the intelligence report and began preparing humanity's defenses. But she had a problem. Human military doctrine was based on fighting other humans, not alien invaders. We need to assume they have capabilities we don't know about, she told her staff. Prepare for the worst-case scenario. The worst-case scenario was a galactic empire with thousands of species deciding snorts that humanity was too dangerous to exist. Dr. Alex Green was working late in his laboratory when he made a discovery that changed everything. He had been studying ancient human artifacts found on various worlds trying to understand their origin. This can't be right, he muttered, looking at his translation of an ancient text. It says these artifacts are from the great human empire that ruled the galaxy 12,000 years ago. He ran the translation program again, but the result was the same. The artifacts were not from unknown aliens. They were from ancient humans. Alex called his research partner, Dr. Sarah Kim. "Sarah, you need to see this. I think humans have been in space much longer than we thought." Sarah arrived within an hour and looked at the evidence. "If this is true, then we're not newcomers to the galaxy. We're returning to it." The implications were staggering. If humans had once ruled the galaxy, what happened to them? Where did they go? And why did modern humans have no memory of their ancient empire? More importantly, if humans had been that powerful before, what were they capable of now? The answers began to emerge from archaeological sites around the solar system. Ancient human technology was buried on Luna, Mars, and several asteroids. The technology was incredibly advanced, far beyond anything humans or aliens currently possess. Dr. Peter Clark, leading the archaeological team on Luna, made the most disturbing discovery. The ancient humans didn't die out, he reported. They deliberately shut down their technology and withdrew from the galaxy. "Why would they do that?" asked his assistant. "I don't know," Peter said, "but the shutdown was voluntary and controlled. They left detailed records about how to reactivate everything. The records were like an instruction manual for galactic domination. They contained technology that could reshape planets, weapons that could destroy solar systems, and defensive systems that could protect entire star clusters." As news of the discovery spread, both humans and aliens began to understand the truth. Humanity was not a young species stumbling into the galaxy. They were the descendants of the galaxy's former masters, and they were starting to remember who they were. The Confederation had not discovered a primitive species to control. They had awakened something that had been sleeping for thousands of years. On Nexus Prime, High Counselor Vexthara received the final intelligence report about the human discoveries. Her hands shook as she read about the ancient human empire and their advanced technology. "Send word to all Confederation fleets," she ordered. "Maximum alert status. We are no longer dealing with a young species. We are facing the return of the galaxy's former rulers." But it was too late. The ancient human systems were already beginning to activate. Across the galaxy, forgotten human worlds were coming back to life. The descendants of the great human empire were remembering their heritage. The galaxy was about to change hands once again. Dr. Peter Clark stood in the ancient chamber beneath the moon's surface staring at technology that should not exist. The walls were covered with symbols that seemed to glow with their own light. Complex machines hummed with power that had been dormant for thousands of years. "The carbon dating confirms it," his assistant, Dr. Maria Santos, said quietly. "This facility is over 12,000 years old, but the technology is still functional." Peter touched one of the control panels and it came to life under his hand. Information flowed across the screen in ancient human text that somehow seemed familiar. "It's like it's waiting for us," he whispered. "Like it knows we're human." On Mars, Professor Linda Shaw was making an even more disturbing discovery. She had been studying human genetic samples from volunteers when she noticed something strange. "Run the test again," she told her lab technician, Dr. James Wang. "I've run it 5 times, Professor," James replied. "The results are consistent. Every human carries dormant genetic markers that match the ancient DNA samples from the archaeological sites." Linda stared at the data. "What does that mean?" "It means we're not just descendants of the ancient humans," James said. "We are the ancient humans. The genetic modifications they made to themselves are still in our DNA, just waiting to be activated." The activation was already beginning. Military personnel who had been exposed to the ancient technology were showing enhanced abilities. Sergeant Joe Martinez, stationed at the Luna Base archaeological site, found that his reflexes were twice as fast as normal. "I can see everything," he told his commanding officer. "It's like time is moving slower." Corporal Diane Foster, working in the Mars facility, discovered she could understand the ancient technology instinctively. "I don't know how I know this," she explained, "but I can operate these machines like I've been using them my whole life." The changes were spreading. Humans who came into contact with the ancient technology found their dormant abilities awakening. Enhanced strength, faster thinking, improved senses. They were becoming what their ancestors had been. The Confederation was watching these developments with growing terror. High Counselor Vexthara called an emergency session of the War Council. "The humans are not evolving," she announced to the assembled military leaders. "They are remembering. Our intelligence suggests they are the same species that once ruled the galaxy." General Fekmer, the Confederation's supreme military commander, scoffed. "Impossible. The ancient empire fell thousands of years ago. These humans are primitives from a backwater world." "The evidence says otherwise," Vexthara replied coldly. "Their technology is advancing at an impossible rate. Their genetic structure is changing, and ancient defense systems throughout the galaxy are responding to their presence." She was right. On forgotten worlds across the galaxy, automated systems were coming online. Planets that had been empty for millennia were suddenly protected by energy shields that the Confederation could not penetrate. Fleet Admiral Rick Thompson was coordinating Earth's defense when the first Confederation attack came. It was disguised as a peacekeeping mission, but everyone knew it was an invasion. 12 Confederation fleets, approaching from multiple vectors, reported Captain Sandra Lee from the command center. "They're taking positions around the solar system." Admiral Thompson activated the defense protocols that had been hidden since first contact. "All units implement Plan Alpha. Show them what we've really been building." The human ships that emerged from hiding were not the simple vessels the aliens had seen before. They were sleek, powerful, and equipped with technology that made the Confederation fleets look ancient. General Carol Watson, commanding the Colonial Defense Forces, received similar reports from human settlements throughout the galaxy. "The aliens are attacking all human colonies simultaneously," she reported, "but our defenses are holding." The Confederation had expected an easy victory. Human technology was supposedly inferior. Human military forces were supposedly small. They were wrong on both counts. Commander Greg Davis, stationed on the frontier world of New Texas, watched as his defensive systems automatically activated. "But look at those readouts. We're not just defending ourselves, we're dominating them." The ancient human defense network was awakening across the galaxy. Automated systems that had been dormant for 12,000 years were recognizing the genetic signatures of their creators' descendants. On Earth, Dr. Matt Turner was analyzing the data from the archaeological sites when he made the most important discovery of all. The ancient records contained the truth about humanity's past. The great human empire didn't fall, he announced to the Emergency Council. It withdrew voluntarily. President Laura Davis leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "The ancient humans realized that galactic domination was making them stagnant," Matt explained. "They were so powerful that they had no challenges left, so they made a choice. They shut down their empire, scattered their people, and went into hiding. Why? To let the galaxy develop naturally while they rediscovered what it meant to be human," Matt said. "They wanted to return to their roots, to remember why they had become great in the first place. The plan had worked perfectly." Humanity had spent thousands of years developing art, culture, philosophy, and science without the burden of ruling the galaxy. They had become more human, not less. But now the galaxy needed them again. The Confederation had created a stagnant empire where innovation was discouraged and individual species were suppressed. It was exactly what the ancient humans had wanted to avoid. The final battle began when the Confederation's main fleet attacked Earth directly. High Counselor Vexthara herself led the assault, determined to destroy the human threat before it could spread. "All ships, target the human homeworld," she commanded. "End this before it begins." But as the Confederation fleet approached Earth, something unprecedented happened. The planet's ancient defenses activated automatically. A shield of pure energy surrounded the world, protecting it from any attack. More than that, the ancient human capital ship emerged from its hiding place at the galaxy's core. The massive vessel was larger than entire Confederation fleets, and it was heading straight for Earth. Admiral Kate Sullivan watched in amazement as the ancient ship took position between Earth and the attacking fleet. "It's protecting us," she whispered. "After 12,000 years, it's still protecting us." The Confederation fleet fired everything they had at the ancient ship. Their weapons were absorbed harmlessly by shields that had been designed to withstand attacks from entire star systems. Then the ancient ship responded. A single pulse of energy disabled the entire Confederation fleet without destroying them. The aliens found themselves floating helplessly in space, their weapons offline, their ships powerless. It was not a massacre. It was a demonstration. The ancient humans had returned and they were more powerful than ever. High Counselor Vexthara stared at the massive human ship in defeat. "We have awakened something that should have stayed sleeping," she said quietly, but she was wrong. Humanity had not been sleeping. They had been growing, learning, and preparing for this moment. The galaxy's former rulers had returned, and they were ready to reclaim their place among the stars. The age of the Confederation was ending. The age of humanity was beginning again. President Laura Davis stood on the bridge of the ancient human capital ship, looking out at the stars through windows that had seen the birth and death of civilizations. The massive vessel had emerged from the galaxy's core after 12,000 years of waiting, and now it served as the symbol of humanity's return to galactic prominence. "The ship recognizes you as the legitimate leader of the human species," explained the artificial intelligence that had maintained the vessel through the long centuries. The AI spoke through Dr. Emily Watson, WHO had become its primary interface with modern humanity. It has been waiting for this moment. Laura felt the weight of history on her shoulders. She was not just the president of Earth anymore. She was the leader of a species that had once ruled the galaxy and was now reclaiming its place among the stars. The bridge was filled with representatives from both human and alien worlds. The Galactic Assembly had been reformed, but this time it would be different. This time it would be based on cooperation, not domination. High Counselor Vexthara stood nearby, her head bowed in respect. The proud alien leader who had once threatened humanity now served as an advisor in the new galactic government. "The Confederation's rule is over," she said quietly. "We accept humanity's leadership." But Laura shook her head. "No, there will be no more rulers, no more empires. The galaxy belongs to all of us." Secretary of State Dan Roberts was negotiating the new galactic charter with representatives from hundreds of species. The document would establish the principles of the new order: equality, cooperation, and mutual respect. "Every species will have a voice," he explained to the assembled delegates. "Every world will have the right to self-determination. There will be no more guidance from above." The alien delegates listened with expressions of wonder and fear. They had lived under the Confederation's rule for so long that they had forgotten what freedom felt like. Captain Tim Johnson commanded the first mixed human-alien crew aboard the redesigned Starship Enterprise. The integration was challenging, but it was working. Humans and aliens were learning to work together as equals. "Set course for the Andromeda sector," he ordered. "We have new worlds to explore." His first officer, former Confederation Commander Crickstall, acknowledged the order. The alien who had once seen humans as primitives now served proudly under human leadership. "The unknown regions await us, Captain," Crickstall said. "Together, we will discover what lies beyond the known galaxy." The transformation was not easy. Many Confederation species had been oppressed for so long that they did not know how to be free. Human advisors worked with local leaders to help them build new governments and societies. Dr. Kevin Walsh established the first interspecies university on the world of Nexus Prime. Students from dozens of species learned together, sharing knowledge and culture. "Education is the key to lasting peace," he told his mixed classes. "When we understand each other, we cannot fear each other." The ancient human AI, speaking through Dr. Emily Watson, revealed the true history of the galaxy. The great human empire had not been cruel or oppressive. It had been a golden age of exploration and discovery. "But power corrupts," the AI explained. "Our ancestors realized they were becoming what they had fought against. They chose to withdraw rather than become tyrants. The withdrawal had been planned and executed over several centuries. The ancient humans had scattered their people across the galaxy, erasing their own history and technology. They had wanted their descendants to rediscover greatness through struggle and growth. They succeeded," the AI concluded. "Modern humanity is stronger and wiser than the ancient empire ever was." The proof was in how humans handled their return to power. Instead of seeking revenge against the Confederation, they offered partnership. Instead of imposing their will, they encouraged diversity. Ambassador John Carter worked with former enemy Commander Crickstall to establish the first joint human-alien colony. The world of New Harmony was a testament to what cooperation could achieve. This planet was uninhabitable 5 years ago, John explained to visiting dignitaries. Now it supports 3 million inhabitants from 12 different species. The terraforming technology that made New Harmony possible was a fusion of human innovation and alien knowledge. Neither species could have achieved it alone. Children born on New Harmony grew up speaking multiple languages and understanding multiple cultures. They were the first generation of true galactic citizens. The military transformation was equally dramatic. The Confederation's massive fleets were disbanded, replaced by smaller, mixed-species exploration and defense forces. Admiral Kate Sullivan commanded the new Galactic Defense Force, which included ships and crews from every member species. Their mission was not conquest but protection. "We will defend the weak and explore the unknown," she announced at the force's inaugural ceremony. "We will be guardians, not conquerors." The economic changes were revolutionary. The Confederation had controlled trade and technology, keeping member species dependent. The new system encouraged innovation and competition. Dr. Lisa Grant established the Galactic Research Institute, where scientists from all species worked together on breakthrough PR. HFY, the Institute's first success, was a new form of faster-than-light travel that made exploring distant galaxies possible. "Science knows no species boundaries," she told her diverse research teams. "Knowledge belongs to everyone." The Cultural Renaissance was perhaps the most important change. For thousands of years, the Confederation had suppressed individual cultures in favor of uniformity. Now each species was free to express its unique heritage. Art galleries on every world displayed works from dozens of different species. Music that blended human melodies with alien harmonies filled concert halls. Literature that explored universal themes through different perspectives became popular across the galaxy. Engineer Maria Lopez led the project to restore damaged worlds that had suffered under Confederation rule. Her teams used advanced human technology combined with alien knowledge to heal planets that had been strip-mined or polluted. "Every world deserves a chance to flourish," she said as she watched forests grow on a planet that had been barren for centuries. "We're not just rebuilding, we're making things better than they ever were." The ancient human facilities throughout the galaxy were converted into schools and research centers. The technology that had once been used for war was now dedicated to peaceful purposes. Dr. Peter Clark, who had discovered the first ancient facility on Luna, became the director of the Archaeological Preservation Society. His mission was to protect and study the remnants of the old empire while ensuring they were used wisely. "The past teaches us," he explained to his students, "but it should not control us. We must learn from our ancestors' mistakes and build a better future." The transformation extended to the smallest details of daily life. Trade routes that had once carried tribute to the Confederation capital now connected free worlds in a network of mutual benefit. Children who had grown up under Confederation rule learned new concepts like democracy, individual rights, and personal freedom. For many species, these ideas were revolutionary. General Frank Williams established the Galactic Peacekeeping Academy, where representatives from all species learned conflict resolution and diplomacy. The Academy's motto was simple: strength through understanding. War should always be the last option, he taught his diverse classes. A wise leader finds ways to solve problems without violence. The religious and philosophical changes were equally profound. The Confederation had promoted a single official belief system. The new Galactic Order celebrated spiritual diversity. Ambassador Helen Carter organized the first Galactic Interfaith Council, bringing together religious leaders from hundreds of species. Their discussions led to new understandings about the nature of consciousness and the meaning of existence. "Every species seeks the same fundamental truths," she observed. "We just express them in different ways." The economic prosperity that followed the changes surprised everyone. When species were free to innovate and compete, the entire galaxy benefited. New technologies, new art forms, and new ways of thinking emerged constantly. Captain Nancy Bell commanded one of the new exploration vessels that pushed into uncharted regions of space. Her mixed crew discovered dozens of new worlds and several new species. A galaxy is much larger and more diverse than we ever imagined, she reported. Every day brings new wonders. The new species they encountered were treated as equals from the moment of first contact. There were no integration protocols or guidance periods. They were simply welcomed into the galactic community as partners. Dr. Chris Johnson's medical research benefited from this diversity. Each species contributed unique knowledge about biology, healing, and life itself. Diseases that had plagued individual species for millennia were cured through cooperative research. Life finds infinite ways to express itself, he mused while studying samples from a newly discovered species. Our diversity is our greatest strength, the ancient human AI